a little bit longer than you should, do you call your spouse and let them know? And let them know how grateful you are. It's a habit. It's a way of living. The problem what we have is, and everybody knows this, the longer you're with somebody or the longer you know somebody, the more you begin to take them for granted.
Amen.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Well, I looked up that word granted, and the definition that I read was to assume that you will never lose something, commonly followed by losing it.
Wow.
Isn't that true?
Pretty
Now,
good.
why does it seem so easy to remember the bad times rather than the good times? Because I know that in some marriages, it's always about what's wrong, what needs to be changed, how you need to change. Isn't that true? In many marriages. And then we recall some of the bad things that have happened, and all of us have experienced that. But if you would just develop this habit of gratitude every time I think of you, it will change your relationship. That is a habit you need to develop. It doesn't come naturally. Why? Because in our human nature, we're not grateful people. That has to be developed in us. We're selfish people by nature. We're always wanting more. We're always wanting it to be different. We're always wanting it to be better. We always want change. I wonder what it is that you've forgotten that other people, and maybe it's your husband, maybe it's your wife, have you forgotten what they have done for you? Have you forgotten the excitement that you once enjoyed? And it's no longer there. Because all you can think of is all the negative things that have transpired in your relationship over the months or over the years. The truth is that Paul didn't have a good time at Philippi. He was beaten. He was run out of town. He was whipped. He was falsely accused. Finally, he's thrown in prison. But he says, when I think of you, I thank God for you. What is he doing in light of the background? He is choosing selective memory. Right? It's a choice. He's choosing to let go of what was wrong and embrace the good things and what was right. Oh, how much improvement would come in our relationships with each other if we only practiced it.
Amen.
When I think of you, I thank God for you. It wasn't a happy place, but he chose to dwell not on the painful memories, but on the good things that he could recall. I wonder if some of you are still living with painful memories with somebody in your life. You can't enjoy the relationship because you're holding on to the past. And you see, maybe it's your wife, maybe it's your husband. They're trying to get you out of that mold because they can see that the marriage is crumbling. They can see that things are falling apart. I want you to write this down somewhere in your notes, just on the fly leaf there. Memories are a choice. Did you write that down? Memories are a choice. Two women were talking. One said to the other woman, well, don't you remember when your husband did this? And she said, yes, I remember that I've chosen to forget that. That's pretty good. You see, it's a choice. If you want to hold on to your bitter, painful memories, go ahead, but you will not be happy. Throughout this series, I'm going to give you two little, in your notes, you'll find HH, which is happiness hint. Now, I wrote it out. Karen printed it out, so you'll know what it stands for. But here's the first one. Remember the best, forget the rest. You know, I'm talking to all generations, but some of you are sitting there and saying, oh, isn't that true? Isn't that true? And some of you younger people are sitting there and saying, I wish I could have it that way. You can have it that way.
Right.
Remember the best. Forget the rest. So develop selective memory and be grateful for the people in your life. That's the first thing he tells us. If you want to be happy, be grateful for the people in your life. Secondly, pray with joy for the people in my life. All this is important. How many of you, if I were to ask you, are you encouraged when you know someone is praying for you?
Amen.
When your wife is in the hospital, your husband or something, your child is sick, and somebody comes up, puts their arm around you and says, I just want you to know I've been praying for you. Whew. What a great thing that is. And yet we neglect to pray for those in our lives. In verse 4, Paul said, I always pray for you. But that's not all, he says. And I make my request when praying for you with a heart full of joy. Man, what a positive guy. Think of someone who irritates you. Take a moment. Don't hit them or anything. Just think of someone who irritates you. Because I want to ask a couple of questions. Leroy, you have anybody that irritates you?
You.
He knew that.
Agnes, you have anybody that irritates you?
No, she said.
No? Anybody that irritates you? Well, we just got a bunch of super Christians in here. Yeah, I should have asked you, right? Yeah. I want to ask you these two questions. Do you pray for that person? Or do you complain and grumble, find fault, and just visualize all the negative things about the person? Well, let me ask you, does nagging work? No. Does prayer work?
Yes.
Or we wouldn't be here, right? So why do we do the thing that doesn't work? Why do we do the thing we know doesn't work? Nagging doesn't work. Oh, some of you are looking so guilty. The issue is you can't change people. Boy, it took me a long time to learn that.
Want me to pass it now?
A long time.
Pass it now?
God finally told me, Wayne, you let me take care of your wife. What a message that was. You said
I'm
that.
annoyed by him.
Turn your cell phone off and pay attention. Here's another helpful hint. You can't change people, but God can. Here's a helpful hint. The quickest way to change a bad relationship into a good relationship is to pray for the person that irritates you. Quickest way. Start praying for them. Because you see, it isn't immediately changing that person, but it begins to change you and your attitude about that person. You say, well, what do I pray? Glad you asked. Paul prayed this in verses 9 through 11. And this is my prayer. Are you with me? Middle of the page. That your love may abound more and more in knowledge and in depth of insight. Then he goes on. My prayer, so that you may be able to discern what is best. Wisdom. And may be pure and blameless until the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ to the glory and praise of God. Wow. 4 things now that we just read that you could pray for. Number 1, pray that they will grow in love. You know, because I understand some of you who didn't grow up learning how to pray. Maybe you know, now I lay me down to sleep, that's about it. And that's true, I realize that. Your parents didn't give you that kind of direction. So you don't even know. I just want to encourage you to pray, whether you're sitting at your dining room table or whether you're kneeling by your bed. Prayer changes people, and it changes things. What do you pray for? Pray that they will grow in love. Pray that they will make wise choices. Third, pray that they will live with integrity. And fourth, pray that they will become like Jesus, filled with the fruit of righteousness, he says, that comes from Jesus Christ. What is that? Well, in Galatians 5, you find those things. What are they? Love, joy, peace, patience, We all can be prayed for that. Kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. What is that? That's the perfect Jesus. The perfect picture of Jesus. You can pray these 4 things for me any time of the day. If you think of praying for your pastor, you don't know what to pray for, pray that I will live with integrity and be protected from the temptations that come to pastors.
That's right.
Pray that I'll make wise choices, and you can go right down the list. You got the notes. Let's move on. First one, he says, pray, be grateful for the people in your life. Second one, pray with joy for the people in your life. And third, now, expect the best from the people in your life. Easy to teach, hard to develop the habit. Verse 6. Let's read that. It's on the back. I am confident of this. Would you circle that word confident?
Mm-hmm.
Very important. I'm confident of this, Paul says, that God who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Paul says, I'm expecting the best from you. Wow, that's powerful. He expects the best from the people in his life. You know, he's a pro at bringing out the best in people, Paul is. He's really good at it. And here's how he does it. He believed in people. He had confidence in them. I wonder how many of you build up people or tear them down. Do you give people in your life confidence? Illustration. You go to one of your kids' track meets. They run track. And, you know, they're young and they're coming around the corner, they're coming up the finish line, and they stumble and they fall and everybody passes them and they scramble to get up. Do you get up and say, "Oh, I am so embarrassed. You can walk home"? That'd be the last thing anyone in here would say. Right? You would get up, you would cheer them on. You would say, "Get up, John. Get up, you can make it, you're still going. Yeah." And then when you see them, "I'm proud of you." Because when you stumbled, you didn't hesitate. You jumped right up and you finished the race. And that's so important. Isn't that what you do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
That's exactly what Christ does with us.
Amen.
We're his children.
Mm-hmm.
We're his children. And we stumble and fall miserably. He's there. "Hey, here's my hand. Get up. Let's go. Keep going. You're in this race to the finish." To hear the words, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant," with his arms around us. See, I visualize those things because they touch me in the area of my heart, not just my head.
Mm-hmm.
That's what God does when you stumble. And that's what God wants you to do when other people stumble. Maybe it's your son or your daughter. Maybe it's your husband or your wife. Maybe it's someone at work that you're their boss and they fail miserably. What does God want you to do? Lift them up. Have confidence in them.
Right.
Number 2. Or let me just say this. Stop saying this. Stop saying, "Well, I just tell it like it is." People think, they almost say it arrogantly. "Well, I tell it like, I tell it like it is. Let the chips fall with." Don't do that.
Mm-mm.
That's not like
It's not
Jesus.
Jesus.
Tell it like it could be.
Mm-hmm.
If you reach down and help them up. Now, number 2. Number 1, he believed in people. Number 2, he gave people vision. Because what God starts, he finishes. He's not going to leave you halfway out there somewhere. Why is that important? Because study after study after study shows that we live up to the expectations of the people we respect.
It's good. Mm-hmm. Point.
When people expect the best of you, I can tell you, you'll do better. Number 3, he was patient with people's progress.